Anchors. I'm James Jones. And the reason I'm going to James Jones, viewers at home, again, this might be your first time watching at the crib. Kick back, relax, turn your volumes up, call the loved ones in, tell them you watching the facility, you're in the facility. James, you have been preaching a message, a sermon.
You have,
for weeks now. For weeks now, James. You've been saying Lamar Jackson should be the MVP frontrunner. Not many people have agreed with you, at least not on this desk. But after the performance yesterday, has it become abundantly clear to the world, to you at home, that Lamar should be the MVP frontrunner?
First off, I want to start off by saying, Mr. MVP voter, good luck.
That's so true.
No, for real, though, because this is the closest that it's been really probably since Barry Sanders and Brett Favre have been co-MVPs. Wow. It is really, really hard to vote on an MVP because Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson, to me, is the MVP frontrunner. And forget the stats, because if you look at these stats, Lamar only threw the ball 15 times, 168 yards, had one rush. If you watch the game,
there you go.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson looked like he is on a totally different planet than pro NFL athletes, the best athletes in the world. He looks like he's on a totally different planet playing the game of football. He is the MVP frontrunner, in my humble opinion. He's making everybody around him better. And I know people want to say, well, he has this, he has that. Lamar Jackson on the football field, there's not a game he walks off the football field where we don't say 8 is the best player. There is not a game that we say that. Lamar Jackson is the best player every time he steps on the field. In my humble opinion, he's the best player in the world right now playing the game of football. He's the MVP frontrunner, in my humble opinion. Good luck, Acho, and all them MVP voters.
That's crazy.
But if you watch the game with your eyes, you're walking out of that game like this dude is something else, man.
Mr. Daniel.
I mean, this question is impossible to answer for me. I have no clue because, quite honestly, there are arguments to be made for both cats.
Yeah.
And when you watch Lamar, James is right. It looks like he's on another level than anyone else on an NFL football field. I feel like it's probably still Josh Allen. Even though we've seen Lamar go 43 total touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I think every person that's ever had MVP that's had over 40 touchdowns and less than 5 picks have won an MVP. This year is the first year where I'm not sure. And I think it's because you look at what Josh has done, 2 less losses, even though the stats for Lamar is better, Josh has 2 less losses, and he's done it with less talent around him. And I think that's sort of what you have to keep in mind when you're out there. I think there's also a little bit of voter fatigue because Lamar's won 2 MVPs. He could win a third. Josh has never won an MVP. And if this year, then what year for Josh? So it's almost an impossible answer. And it's an impossible question. Like, you know, Vegas can say minus 240 for Josh, plus 180 for Lamar. It is getting really close. And the fact of the matter is, Josh is going to play one more game, right? Lamar's been in the MVP national spotlight for 3 weeks in a row. And he's balled out for 3 weeks in a row. So this late season push is a real thing for Lamar. I think it probably still goes to Josh, but I can make an argument for both.
Man, this thing is tough, dog.
It's tough. It's
There's
tough.
no wrong. Like,
I love Lamar, right? And Josh is actually a personal friend of mine. I watched this young dude grow from a rookie to a stud superstar.
Yeah.
Oh!
it's difficult.
It's favoring Lamar. I know. Y'all like, Shay, you said this. And I get it, and I argue with James about this. It does matter who you play with, right? So I will put the little edge for Lamar right now because when I watch him play, he looks like Superman. Yeah. He's the best player on the field. If you watch the game yesterday against the Texans, they run the ball so well. I'm like, dang, he probably don't get a lot of big stats today. But as the game kept going, he kept getting better. As the throwing, as running it, everything you want to see from him, he's giving you. Another thing is, like, we can talk about the stats. I mean, 4,800 total yards, that ranks 1, 43 touchdowns, only 4 picks. What can the brother do? And another thing about this, James, we always talked about, okay, Lamar Jackson probably the best dual threat we ever seen, which is true. Yeah. And I play with Michael Vick, and I'm saying it's true. But, man, the way he's playing, he might become one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. Forget the dual threat, throwing and running. Wow. So I got to give it to Lamar right now. Now, Josh does have another game, right? But I will say this, Chase, you said something interesting. Primetime games. Yeah. Lamar's been in primetime games a lot lately. So you've seen him ball in every single game. Then you see him on Christmas ball out. The last time we seen Josh really ball out on primetime was with the Lions.
25 million people.
You see what I'm saying? So it's all about the prisoner of the moment.
Yeah, I said this yesterday walking through the airport, because I was walking through the airport as the games was finishing, the Ravens-Texans game. I was trying to get back to the show. I think for any voter, it would be irresponsible or just intentionally inflammatory for the sake of retweets to state who's the front runner right now. It would be completely irresponsible if I were to say it. Why? Because James has said it, Chase has said it, you know it, and Shady has said it. It is so close that to say that it's Lamar would be to be a prisoner of the moment over the last 24 hours. And to say that it's Josh Allen would be to be relying on a memory that actually isn't that trustworthy, because studies show your memory is not nearly as reliable as you think. Here is what I am looking at, and here's what I want to bring you all into. Over the weekend, the voters, we all got an email. And the voter was your official ballot email. And I want to bring you all into something that there's no way you would have seen before. So here's the criteria for MVP. The thing at the top, it says the MVP player, the MVP award, it goes to the player that had the most valuable season. Again, I'm looking at this at a distance, so y'all can read it better at home than I can right now. I'm doing it off memory. The Offensive Player of the Year award, it goes to the offensive player that had the best all-around offensive season. I bring up that clarity because often we end up in different arguments. You can remove it from the screen. Sometimes people are like, oh, he had the best season, so he's the MVP. Just so you all know, that's not the criteria that voters are supposed to vote from. The most valuable player, the criteria is the player that had the most valuable season. How you dictate value may be different than how I dictate value. Now to answer the question to some legitimacy. This isn't a stat conversation.
No.
I don't want anybody to bring up stats when making an MVP argument. Because Lamar Jackson's 10-yard touchdown pass was not just a 10-yard touchdown pass to Mark Andrews.
That's true. That's true.
He's backpedaling. He's backpedaling left. After escaping the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield the whole time, throwing a pass, turning around on the road on Christmas Day, all of that context matters, particularly for individuals who have played the game. You got to play on a short week. You got to travel to Houston from Baltimore. You're away from your family. It's on Christmas. It's the whole world watching on a network that's never broadcast a game before, and you're doing it. So I'm not trying to have any statistical conversations regarding this MVP conversation. This MVP conversation should all be film-based. Stats are for individuals who did not have the luxury of watching the game. If you have the luxury of watching the game, it tells a much more conclusive picture. So much to weigh in. I could talk about this for hours at a time, but go ahead.
Really quick, though, it's tough because, I don't know, but all the voters have not played football, right?
Not everybody.
So my thing is, right, with these two dudes, like, this is not Lamar Jackson and Matthew Stafford, right? Because you could turn on the tape and be like, well, Matthew Stafford don't run like Lamar Jackson, so we got to go to his passing numbers and stats and all that to really put him in the MVP cover. When you turn the tape on of Josh Allen, you are going to see him winning football games like he did against the Kansas City Chiefs with his legs, running through people to score. You are going to see plays where he's out of the pocket, throwing it to Amari Cooper, they tossing it back to him, and he running it in. You're going to see Superman plays. When you turn Lamar Jackson's tape on, you are going to see Lamar Jackson getting outside of this pocket, cruising down the sideline, running away from people. You're going to see him getting outside the pocket, throwing the ball to Mark Andrews, whoever, making superstar plays. So if you turn the tape on, they going to look the same. They both going to look like Superman. So at the end of the day, you going to have to, if you haven't played the game, come back to those stats, right?
1,000. For individuals, I'd suggest, like, who don't have the experiential experience, like we all do at this desk, obviously I do, I'm going film. But for other individuals, if you got to go stats, like if that's what you know best, do that.
And you would say a lot do that, right?
Yes.
Because there's not a lot of former players that have votes.
Not only that, it's easier to go off stats. Because stats don't necessarily tell you the most important information. Stats tell you the easiest information to garner. It's much easier for me to just say, well, Lamar has 43 touchdowns and Josh Allen has 37, so Lamar is better. But that doesn't tell you the fact that Josh Allen is doing it with players who have never played as well as they've ever played since playing with him. I suggest that to say, and then Chase, I'll throw you to Oop. We've seen Derrick Henry have as good a season as he's had this year before. We've seen him go for 2K. We've never seen Matt Collins do what he's doing. We've never seen Shakur do what he's doing. We've never seen, now mind you, Dalton Kincaid was drafted there. Mind you, James Cook, if I'm not mistaken,
a lot of people that's watching, they don't even know these people you're talking about.
And again, I don't say that to undermine anybody. I simply suggest that to say stats do not tell the whole picture, Chase.
So, you know, when you're talking MVP, like you brought up a good point. It's not just stat-driven. It's most valuable player. If you take, because you're a voter, who means more to their team right now? That's how I look at it. Forget about the stats for a minute. Does Josh Allen mean more to this Buffalo Bills team, or does Lamar Jackson mean more to this Baltimore Ravens team? I would lean the way, I agree, it's pretty, I would lean the way toward Josh. And I only say this for one thing. Lamar, you knew what to expect out of Lamar coming back this year. You figured they would be in the race, that they would be a contender in the AFC. Now, you could say they've almost underperformed being at their 11-5 right now, right? Like, because they were the 1 seed last year. You look at what Josh Allen is doing in the expectations. No one expected them to be this good and to be the number 2 seed in the AFC. Yeah. And so when I look at it like that, like the expectation coming into the year, we weren't even talking about, or I wasn't talking about Josh. I said on this show, I said, Josh is going to have to be Superman to get 10 wins. Guess what? They're 12-3 and they win this week. They get the 2 seed. Mm-hmm. And he's doing it with so much less. So I think that's sort of how I view it. Now, I'm not a voter, but when you talk about valuable, I think Josh is more valuable to this team because without Josh Allen, they're not winning 12 games.
Yeah. So when you break it down like that and you show the criteria of what you need, I think it favors to Josh, right? It's just hard because I watch Lamar. I'm like, I've never seen Lamar play like this. Like, there's nothing he can't do right now.
Correct.
Most players, forget quarterbacks, most players have deficiencies. I don't see no flaws in this game. Yeah. But then when you break it down as far as, okay, well, MVP compared to Offensive Player of the Year, offensive stats, and et cetera. MVP-wise, I mean, Josh Allen is playing with the guys that, come on, man. UPS, FedEx, what's the Christmas stuff they deliver? I'm just saying, like, Matt Hollins, is that his name? Yes. Like, yo, he lead the team in touchdowns?
Yeah.
I don't even know if he makes teams. I had an argument with one of my good friends the other day. I'm like, yo, I get the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen so close, but when we start breaking down who's on the squad, like I can see the Ravens somewhere where, okay, Mark Andrews plays solid, right? We got the backup quarterback in there. Mark Andrews plays solid. Then you got Derrick Henry who'll probably get 28-some carries, can hold it over enough. Zay Flowers on reverses, on some special passes. Yeah. Rashad Bateman doing this thing. I can see that kind of working. Even if Lamar wasn't special. If I look at Josh Allen, he's not special for the Bills. Who they, come on. And that's when you break down the MVP, that's why I said, okay, maybe I give a little bit of the edge to Josh.
That's what makes it so difficult. Now, Offensive Player of the Year, Lamar Jackson easily. Because if I will side with Jay.
Hold up, God darn it.
Like
2-6 in Philly, like, running backs ain't just doing that.
Saquon's going to break the record.
Running backs ain't doing that, Acho.
With all due respect, this is where I agree with James.
You just woke me up.
Me too.
This is where I agree with James wholeheartedly. Lamar Jackson looks better than Josh Allen. With all due respect. Like after because on the flight back yesterday, the Steelers game was already a blowout. And so I said, let me start rewatching the Ravens games from this season. I have the apps where you can just watch passing plays so I can do it efficiently. Lamar looks better than Josh, period. He just does. It doesn't take into the context that Shady just brought up.
No doubt.
How come Lamar can look so much better than Josh? Is he just better than Josh, or are there other things that help him look better than Josh? But to James's point, and so y'all know, Lamar on tape looks better than Josh Allen. That does not mean he is more valuable. That just means his offensive season is best. James, something that is interesting, I'll say this and then I'll throw you to Oop. Obviously, we have to pivot to a different conversation soon. Something that's interesting is when I'm watching the game, biggest game for Lamar Jackson this season because the MVP is contingent upon it. The very first series, I'm like, Lamar, he had the luxury of taking it off. Derrick Henry goes down the field. I think it was 76 rushing yards Derrick Henry had in the first quarter.
Really.
If y'all remember, first quarter, it wasn't the first series. Lamar Jackson was able to take like the quarter off.
Yeah.
He had a scramble play to the right for 25 yards, and he found Zay Flowers over the middle on a hookup route.
4 times.
And I was like, this is amazing. Like Lamar, no shame, but Lamar had the luxury of taking a quarter off. Josh Allen he's not afforded those luxuries. He's just not. So I'm sitting there thinking the game, not that they can't run the ball, but we all sitting up here know James Cook and Derrick Henry, I do not care about stats. They are not the same player. They are not the same player.
Henry ran for 150.
People are trying to show me, well, James Cook is third in the NFL in touchdowns. James has humbly admitted he led the league in receiving touchdowns one year. I don't think he'd compare himself to Larry Fitzgerald. So you can lead the league.
You should compare. You should compare.
So I say all that to say, like, Lamar was able to take a quarter off. Josh doesn't have that luxury. No slight, just a realization I had.
You know what's crazy, though, is like, so playing with Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers used to get this same slack, right? Because obviously got a lot of young talent around him, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, James Jones, Jordan Nelson, all that. And we all would sit up here and say, our stats ain't what they are today. if we didn't play with Aaron Rodgers. It is some plays that Aaron Rodgers made or some throws that Aaron Rodgers made to where we like, another quarterback ain't making that play. The only reason why I disagree with y'all about who they kind of playing with is because when I watch Lamar, anybody can make those catches that he's throwing to them dudes too. It's not like we're seeing Mark Andrews or Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman or Isaiah Likely mossing people and doing it. Lamar is Superman. The touchdown pass to Isaiah Likely, Mac Hollins can make that play because Lamar made that play. I truly believe this is the hardest it's going to be because if you drop Lamar in Buffalo, they're going to have success. If you put Josh in Baltimore, they're going to have success because they are both two elite quarterbacks and a Superman on the field. So when you say talent, I can see if Lamar's just back there and he's like throwing it up and they just going to make it like A.J. Brown does. But they're not. Lamar is making these plays, man.
Two things. You said the same thing about Zay Flowers?
I love Zay. What you asking me?
You saying like basically just?
I'm saying if Zay went to Buffalo right now, he's the number one.
No. Forget the Buffalo. I'm talking about with the Ravens. If you give Zay a freaking pass, first of all, let me get to that part. What about getting open though? Like with the Bills, listen, it can be an easy game plan for defense. We gonna go in here. We gonna make sure Josh don't scramble. We gonna play man coverage because our secondary is better than any wide receivers.
What the Ravens did earlier?
Hold up. Yes, they did. When you go to the Ravens, you not just saying that. Yo, hey, you got Zay, you got Rashad Bateman, and you got Mark Andrews. That's it. You're not talking like that. You're not talking like, and we gotta stop this. We gotta stop this freaking beast in the backfield. You're not talking like that.
That's the dilemma. I don't often get to watch games with my brother. My brother played 9 years in the NFL. We're watching a game yesterday, looking at the run defense.
He talked to me one-on-one before. God was on his side.
He often is. And James, I was watching and I was like, Houston was in a bind because if Derrick Henry's in the backfield, you can't sit in too high.
Come on, man.
They tried to sit in too high, and Derrick Henry was gashing them. So you have to sit in one high. You don't have to give the Bills' run game the same respect. Viewers, the reason that matters is when you the extra run defender means Lamar Jackson has one less pass defender. But as Josh Allen, he doesn't have an extra run defender more often than not. You can allocate that extra run defender to the pass game, and the pass game is already bad. But because the Bills' wide receivers aren't that good, you can just allocate the extra defender to Josh Allen as a spy, to doubling Amari Cooper, to playing the most necessary defender because Amari Cooper's been out. There's just so much of this conversation. One, I appreciate y'all being a part of this because it's been a very respectful and intellectual conversation.
It's hard, too, though.
But it's
my only thing, really quick, last thought, my only thing is, so, like, Joe Burrow don't got no run game, right? Like, they at least a run game to, like, respect, drop a safety down in the box. So, you know when the Bengals step on the football field, the ball's going to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow going to throw the ball over the yard, right? So, teams do sit in zone. They sit in too high. They sit in all these coverages to stop the pass. And they can't stop them boys. So, are we sitting here saying that Joe Burrow should be in the MVP conversation just because they can't stop the pass? No, that's all I'm saying.
But they losing, though. So, all that he's doing, even though I love the way Joe, they losing. So obviously you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough, bro.
And Burrow's made losing plays, but the only concluding thought I'll say is Chady and I have always said, we don't know what Joe Burrow is without all that talent.
I said that.
That is something that has been said. Looking at the Packers, not looking at the Vikings, nor the Commanders, nor any NFC team. Can anybody in the AFC stop the Chiefs from reaching the Super Bowl?
No. I've been saying this all day. Right, I know the Chiefs look different, right? Yeah. Well, not yesterday, but the days before that, or the games before that, they're not the same. They're not explosive. They can't do this. They can't do that. All these other teams look better. And I keep saying, what about the equity part, right? Because I did play the game at a high level, and I know how hard it is to be good and consistent every single year, and they are that. The worst we've ever seen the Chiefs with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is an AFC Championship game. I don't know if y'all heard me, though. The worst we've ever seen. The worst. AFC Championship game, and we talking about a back-to-back to back-to-back. You feel me? And it's like a three-peat, and we asking if they're the best team, who can stop them? Nobody can. And the scariest part for my birds, but I'm going for Andy Reid, so I ain't going to sugarcoat that. Yeah, I'm an Eagle and all that, but I want Andy Reid to get this three-peat. It's never been done before. He's the best coach of football of all time. But the thing is, like, when you watch him before, we run the ball a lot. Let's play great defense. Let's keep Pat kind of safe. We're not blocking that well. Now, Hollywood came back. Pacheco came back. Now, we send them boys vertical. Now, Kelsey could play in the middle post. Now, we're going to get him some targets. And yesterday, as I'm watching the game, I said, oh, my God, the Chiefs are back. My mom was like, what are you talking about? You know, my son, what do you mean they're back? I said, the reason why, because the offense was just okay. right? We're just trying to get to the finish line. Now they're there where now they got some speed, so now the secondary, they got to play back a little bit.
Yeah.
Now you got all these guys like Hopkins might get some more targets. Guys like Schuster might get some targets. Now Kelsey had 11 grabs yesterday, or targets yesterday. So it's a different offense. And they didn't run the ball a lot. Because they didn't run the ball a lot to kind of like not show you everything, right? Or try to hide things. Nah, they back. Andy Reid's offense is back. And Patrick Mahomes, last thing, his swagger's back. Yeah, I'm throwing the ball. Yeah. How is it that the quarterback on short weeks, 3 games with 11 days? Or something like that?
3 and 11.
Okay, check it out. So 3 games, 11 games. So 3 games, 11 days. The franchise, the best quarterback in football, the best player in football, has a bad ankle, okay? We already in the playoffs, so we're not really playing for much. We're playing for the seeding, which matters, but not like that.
One seed.
And you go in a game against a really good defense like the Steelers, and we throwing the ball?
Man.
I said, oh, yeah, Pat back. Pat is back.
Mahomes been on the heater.
James, where you at with it?
Man. It's crazy because
Don't be saying nothing crazy.
Take a deep breath, James.
we just had a long conversation about 2 bad dudes in the National Football League fighting for the MVP.
He the baddest, though. He the baddest.
And ain't none of them in the NFC. They both in the AFC. So when I first heard this question, I'm like, man, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, yeah, they can. Not, but they haven't.
Yep.
And that is the only thing. Like, as I look at it right now, I'm like, I don't know if they can stop Lamar Jackson. I don't know if they can stop Josh Allen. Josh Allen beat them and gave them their only loss this year, but they both have not done it in the playoffs. So I can't sit here and say there's a team until one of these dudes do it in the playoffs and knock them off, because Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are getting rolling at the right time. And it is scary because we've seen them beat people not playing well.
Yeah.
Then we see them beating down people playing well. And then we watching the game, and they don't even got their best player on defense out there in Chris Jones, and it still looked like they're top defense in the National Football League, getting after the passer, making it hard on Russell Wilson and them. The Chiefs are a problem, well-coached, really good quarterback, we all know that. And they just a dominant football team. So I can't say yes yet until one of them boys accomplishes.
Did y'all see my man? This is real quick before you go, Chase, because you got some clips to show. Yeah. I just want to bring the people in there just to know about Andy Reid. When we talk about having being the best coach of all time, like, we can always argue about the X's and O's. Well, he's better on defense. He's better off. But did you see him after the game when they won? First of all,
that was incredible.
First of all, he knew they was gonna win. Yeah. So look, after we win, get my Christmas outfit ready. Okay, get my look, and I want my beard nice, white, and long, because we're gonna win this game. So that's one part. The second part is when you talk about having fun, like, it's a long season. Every other year they're going to the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship. That's a long time.
No doubt.
You play the season, then you got the playoffs, and he has a way to relate to all the players. Bill Belichick ain't doing that. No. Andy Reid, you can't wait to play for Andy Reid. I've been away with 4-12, and I still couldn't wait to get to stadium because Andy Reid makes everybody believe, bro. Yeah. Seriously, though, no disrespect to any other head coach out there. Andy's the best coach of all time.
Truth. What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.